director of the bank, Mr. Zafar Islam, was also excellent cricketer and represented Aligarh Muslim University as its captain. So thank you very much, Shri Alok Ranjan, for agreeing to chair the session, and I would request him to kindly take over.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mathur. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and I must say I'm privileged to be here and coordinate and chair this very important session having such distinguished panelists. I must say a few words about Lucknow Management Association before I go to the main topic, because I have been associated with this body for a long time, and as Dr. Mathur pointed out, for almost 4 years I was the president of LMA, and we won the Best Management Association Award from IMA all those 4 years, all because of Mr. Mathur and his team and all the members of LMA who did such a wonderful job. I must compliment LMA for year after year continuing to hold debates, discussions, seminars on various topics of national and international interest, and always focusing on the development of the country and in particular on the development of the state of Uttar Pradesh. This annual convention is a really great event as far as LMA is concerned. They really prepare hard for it, and every year they come up with a topic which is of great relevance. Every year eminent panelists come and speak, and thereafter this is all documented and it is taken out as a book by LMA and presented to the government for taking policy decisions and actions on this basis. And I'm sure the government has also gained a lot from the kind of suggestions and the kind of discussions that have emerged in these debates and in these conventions. This year also, just like the past years, LMA has decided upon an all-important topic, which is imperatives as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned for a $1 trillion economy. Now, you're well aware, all of you are well aware, all the participants as well as our distinguished panelists, that the Honorable Prime Minister of India has given a clarion call for a $5 trillion economy by 2025. And in response to that, since Uttar Pradesh is almost say 16% of the entire country, our own Chief Minister has given the call that we will also go ahead and have a $1 trillion economy for Uttar Pradesh by 2025. Now this is a very, very aspirational goal, extremely aspirational, and I must add that this corona crisis has been a bit of a setback because it has pushed things back by almost about a year and maybe even more than a year. But still, that did not deter us or should not deter us, because the aspiration is there, the goal is there, and if we take the right decisions, make the right choices, nothing is impossible. It can be certainly reached. Since yesterday, various aspects of this topic have been discussed by various panels, and I am happy that today the topic is ease of doing business. Ease of doing business is so very relevant when you talk about a $1 trillion economy for Uttar Pradesh, or you talk of a $5 trillion economy for the country. I think I did not reiterate, but all of you are aware that it was in 2014 that our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he started giving special emphasis on ease of doing business. He took the leadership in this, and the result of his leadership, what happened was that the entire Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion was focusing on this. They came out with a list of reforms, and I remember in 2014 I happened to be the Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh, and that year as many as 340 reforms came in a list: labor, land, pollution control, power, every aspect was covered. And I remember how we used to go about almost on a weekly basis, monitor with all the officers on how these reforms can be implemented, take out the necessary government orders, government directives, and also see that actual implementation is done on the field. I'm glad to inform that in the very first year, Uttar Pradesh got the 10th rank, which was quite good considering Uttar Pradesh is not a very industrialized state. And many states, even like Punjab or even many southern states, were behind us at that time. Ever since then, Uttar Pradesh has been hovering between 10th to 13th, 14th rank every year. And there has been a focus on bringing about large-scale reforms in ease of doing business. However, the crowning glory has been last year, that is the year 2018-19. The results have been astounding as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned. Uttar Pradesh has jumped from the 14th rank to the 2nd rank. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but this is really amazing that Uttar Pradesh has got the second rank in ease of doing business in the country. That's a big change, a very big change. A big perception factor is involved out here. Because you know why Uttar Pradesh was suffering all these years? I have been an administrator, a civil servant in Uttar Pradesh. I have served for 38 years, and I know that the biggest bottleneck has been perception. Even if we did things right in Uttar Pradesh, even if many reforms were carried out, somehow the perception of Uttar Pradesh outside was very different. They did not see it as a progressive state. They saw it as a state where things were not secure, or there was not good enough law and order. It was definitely not the kind of environment that people thought providing the right kind of investment climate to invest in. So this second position, I think, will change that perception in a big way, which is so very important. At least now, everybody, all the investors, all the industrialists will realize that here is something which is happening in the state, things are changing, and there is an environment where investors are being encouraged, and we can come forward and make investments, and we'll get the right kind of support and the right kind of environment out here. As far as the country is concerned, I must just point out that we jumped from rank 142nd in 2014 to 63rd rank last year. And the Honorable Prime Minister has declared that we'll come in the top 50 now. Of course, some people say that this ranking is based mainly on the indicators of Mumbai and Delhi, but that is the way it is calculated. That should not take us away from the credit in any way from the kind of improvement that is there in ranking. Now we have to disaggregate that ranking and see how we can improve. I saw that the biggest improvement has been in construction permits, which is now, we are 27th in the world as far as construction permits are concerned, and the speed with which they are given. At the same time, enforcing a contract, starting a business, payment of taxes are areas which are still of concern, because there the rank is still beyond 100. So, but if we are focusing on them one by one, even this year the plan that has been declared by DIPP is focusing on these areas, and as we improve upon them, the investment climate will further improve, and our EODB ranking of the country will further improve. Regarding UP, this second ranking, is all the more important because it is based on feedback from the industry. This was the first time DIPP does this. Not only on the parameters of what reforms have been carried out on paper or instructions issued, but actually what the members of the industry are feeling. And this feedback in the UP got 50% on the perception index, which was much more than the other states. And that is really laudable. And that shows that there's definite improvement in the investment climate. However, there are areas to improve in, which I would just like to point out. They're still remaining, and a lot of perception improvement is still possible. Why so? Because whereas we have come second in EODB ranking, I was going through the figure of, how much investment each state has received. And there I was a little concerned to find that Uttar Pradesh in the year 2018-19 is not figuring in the top 10 states, despite all the efforts being made. But I think the change will start now, with this ranking having come, and with the kind of investment and industrial policy being declared by this government of Uttar Pradesh. It's an enabling environment where investment will come forward, and various investment meets have been held, where MOUs in large numbers have been signed, and slowly and gradually they are getting fructified on the field. And therefore I think there is a general direction of improvement, movement in that direction, and this is so very important as far as UP is concerned. How is ease of doing business concerned with a $1 trillion economy is the question which somebody may ask. Well, it is concerned simply because Uttar Pradesh today is having a GDP of $230 billion. If you want to jump from $230 billion to $1,000 billion, it is not a joke by any standards. As I said in the very beginning, it's an aspirational goal, and it might at first look almost an impossible kind of a goal. But then we have to work towards a high goal. Only then we'll reach somewhere. And it has to be a concerted effort on all fronts. But of all the fronts, the most important is industrialization of the state of Uttar Pradesh, because this is an agricultural economy. We have to move labor from agriculture to non-agriculture fields. We have to industrialize the state. We have to make it a hub of industries. And if we can do that and bring in private investment and foreign investment into the state of Uttar Pradesh, then this kind of a jump is possible. Without that, achievement of $1 trillion economy is not possible. And this private investment will come only if the ease of doing business climate is good or has improved over the years. So this is the most point I want to make, why EODB is greatly connected with a $1 trillion economy. Now talking of Uttar Pradesh, I have my experience. I worked as an Industrial Development Commissioner also for more than 3 years, as Chief Secretary also, and had been in close contact with the members of the industry. Well, they have their concerns, they have their genuine concerns which need to be resolved on a daily basis. One of the most important things which I find that members of industry are saying, that when we talk of EODB, we talk of new investment, talking of new industries coming and investing. But they say, what about the existing industries? And I agree with them. We have to focus on the existing industries, because the existing industries are our brand ambassadors. There are our ambassadors who will encourage other investment to come into the state. If they give a negative picture, then nobody is going to believe any kind of documentation or figure that we may come out with. And they are still a little concerned. They feel there are certain issues which are not getting resolved in the manner that they should. Of course, Uttar Pradesh has an Industrial Guarantee Act, where various industrial services like getting a power connection or an NOC from the Pollution Control Board, the time limits are specified. That within this time limit, you have to get it, otherwise it will be deemed to have been given. And then accountability is also fixed on that basis. But still, there are a lot of distance to be covered in this. That is why I think it's a matter of concern that the existing industries should also, feel that there is a definite ease of doing business climate existing in the state. That is first point. Now, there are certain issues otherwise. The price of power in Uttar Pradesh, that is a little bit of a deterrent. Our power is more expensive than available in other states. If you could even think of just a reduction in 1 rupee in the industrial tariff, it will make a whale of a difference as far as the ease of doing business climate is concerned and the investment climate is concerned. Similarly, land in UP, especially with the UP SITC and Noida, is extremely expensive. Even as Chief Secretary, I used to find that when investors used to come, they used to tell me, sir, land is far cheaper in Telangana, far cheaper in Tamil Nadu, and your land is so expensive. But I was very happy to read today that the Honorable Chief Minister has declared that people can buy private land. There will be no deterrent in buying private land. There will be help in buying private land and set up industries accordingly, because the government land is sometimes far more expensive, because 4 times the circle rate has to be paid as land acquisition charges. And therefore, if they buy privately and get a better deal, then they can get land much cheaper. So they're trying to attend to this problem, and some kind of a land subsidy has also been declared by the state of Uttar Pradesh in the new industrial policy, which I think will go a long way in addressing the issue of land. Then comes the issue of labor. Well, Uttar Pradesh has gone ahead of others, because they declared unilaterally that for 3 years the labor laws, except for ones dealing with wages and occupational hazards and safety matters, will remain suspended for 3 years. Now, you can have different views on this. I too was a little surprised, wondering how we can, or should we, suspend the labor laws for 3 years. One is that I feel, what happens after 3 years? Any investor who comes here may come here because certain labor laws have been put under suspension today. But supposing they are revived after 3 years, what is the situation that the investor will be faced with? That's a bit of uncertainty is involved in that. And second, it is my personal view, of course the panelists can also debate upon it or deliberate upon it, that we should not see labor as being absolutely the antithesis of industrial development. I think labor and industry have to work together, have to conjoin and work together, because the interests are the same and they can achieve better if they work as 2 wheels of the same vehicle. So that is my view on labor reforms. But all said and done, Uttar Pradesh has gone ahead and been very positive about declaring labor reforms. Moreover, they said that you can set up an industry in 72 hours, we'll give you all the permission. And you can get the clearances within 3 years. But within 72 hours, you can go ahead and set up the industry. Very laudable objective by all means. Again, I'm a little worried about, supposing after 3 years or within those 3 years, certain pollution control board or some other department doesn't give the clearance, then will the industry be asked to shut down, or what will it do? Because they've already made the investment. So these are some of the questions that come to the mind. But once again, I must appreciate the spirit behind the laws and the rules and the policies which Uttar Pradesh government is coming out with. They're very positive. They are investment centric. They are industry centric. They want to bring in investment. They want to change the face of Uttar Pradesh. They want to industrialize Uttar Pradesh. And I think this is very, very laudable. I must say 1 or 2 other things before I hand over to the panelists. In my experience, I find that EODB, one aspect is issuing a government order or coming out with a policy statement. That's all right. But the reality is, what does the industrialist face in this day-to-day interface with the cutting edge of the administration? Or as one industrialist friend of mine said, the last mile of EODB. What is this last mile of EODB? Just an example I'll tell you. We may say that a power connection can be given in 15 days and it can be given online and we can go and get it done. But supposing when he goes to get a power connection, the junior engineer can make the industrialist run around for months and may demand gratification. That kind of disturbs the entire climate of EODB. So that last mile thing has to come about. That cutting edge of administration, the mindset change has to come about if there has to be a real EODB. Because that is where there is an interface between the entrepreneur on the industrialist with the bureaucracy at the lowest level. And there is no other way than to train them and to orient them, to continuously talk with them and change their mindset. But even talking sometimes doesn't help. You might have to have an incentive-oriented system of reward and punishment, where an officer should be rewarded on the kind of investments that he brings in, on the kind of power connections that he gives, on the number of coalition and NOCs he is able to give within a certain period, and not on how many he can deny or how many problems that he can create. If that kind of an atmosphere we can create in a bureaucratic system and the bureaucracy starts responding and functioning, then I'm sure a genuine EODB environment will get created. Last, I must say, the ultimate thing about EODB is, of course, single window system and online clearances. Uttar Pradesh today has been focusing on this with a single window system reporting directly to none other than the Honorable Chief Minister of the state. I am told that now almost all the 18 clearances you require to set up an industry are online, and you can do it in Nivesh Mitra, which is a focal point or one single point where you can go and file in all the applications possible for all the clearances, and you will get them online within a certain time period. This has to be ensured. This must happen. Sometimes members of industry come to me and complain that no sir, it is not happening within the stipulated time period, or certain clearances are coming in certain at the last moment. The department raises some kind of an objection and we go back again to the same process. Now these kind of things have to change. A lot of reorientation has to be done, but this online clearance system is active in Uttar Pradesh and single window has started, and I'm sure this is a big incentive as far as the industrialization state is concerned. With that, I think these are enough for my opening remarks. I'll come back again and say a few things when I sum up the discussion and whatever the honorable panelists have said. I am really, really grateful